So you have a tender read and you love overlanding. You have plans to do it big on the trails and some super glamping. One ideas, deep news and reviews, a podcast the first rate and here just for you. You don't have to think about it, join us and be about it. Something interesting we want to hear about it, come on let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure, the industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MyMedic. Sponsored by TEMBO TUSK. Sponsored by Shower Pouch. Sponsored by DeMoss Collective, mission built and made for mobility. Sponsored by BrewTrek. Sponsored by Hard Impact Designs.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
What's up, Candy?
No, long time no see, Phil. It's good to see you.
How are you?
Doing great. I spent the weekend at Overland Expo, and that was a lot of fun. So,
we're going to have to spend a majority of the show talking about that.
Yeah.
I want to hear everything you got to say about it.
Okay.
So let's quickly go through the news so that we can talk about it.
Okay.
Before the show, you gave me some interesting news about from the CDC that I'd like for you to discuss.
So the CDC is they're implementing new restrictions on pet travel into the United States. It affects like myself and my dog, because we travel in and out of the country quite a bit. And it's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie. Now, effective August 1st of 2024, all dogs that are imported into the United States are required to, number one, appear healthy upon arrival. Number two, be at least 6 months of age. So no puppies. That's a big restriction. Have an ISO compatible microchip implanted for identification purposes. So they need to be microchipped. And be accompanied by a CDC dog import form. That's the biggest new thing. You have to go online. It's free, but you have to submit this paperwork now, and you have to show the receipt whenever you're bringing your dog back into the United States. So, and there's a time limit on it. I believe it's only good for like 30 days. That's a big deal, for somebody like me, because I'll go for, 1 or 2 months and across Canada or something like that. And, I think there's going to be a lot of hiccups with this. There's a whole new website, I guess, that's going to be dedicated to it, according to everything I've been reading. There's so many articles out there about it, but people with pets are definitely going to want to check out these new rules and regulations.
Why do you think they created this rule?
So one of the things that I read, because everybody's asking the same thing, because they think that this is very restrictive. One of the things that they said was they're trying to get a hold on canine rabies. They don't want it returning to the United States. I guess the last outbreak affected several people in addition to animals, and they completely had eradicated it by 2007, and they don't want a reoccurrence. That's what they're saying. That's their story. They're sticking to it. But the rest of us are kind of going, is this really necessary? So I think it's definitely going to impact income for a lot of border towns, for sure.
Well, you bring up economy. I believe one of the reasons that may have contributed to it, not the sole reason, but one that may have contributed to it, is every time I go to the airport to pick someone up or drop them off, something that really sticks out to me is I see a lot of people coming straight off the plane, handing a person a dog, and going their separate ways. So my assumption is the person bought a dog from overseas. I don't know why you would have to do that. But
Okay.
I see a lot of that. Do you know anything about that?
I don't, because I don't do things like that, so I don't know a lot about it. I do a lot of rescue work though, and I know some of these animals are being transported to within, domestically within the United States, from rescues. So that I do know a little something about. But as far as dog importing a dog from another country, I've never done that. So that I don't know about.
Well, when you told me this today, because I knew nothing about it,
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. Not that this was happening. I was shocked that there wasn't some kind of rules and regulations about bringing your dogs in that were more stringent since COVID. I remember early on they were saying that dogs were possibly a host of it and could carry it and transport it and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm shocked that there weren't stringent restrictions on dogs and other animals already.
Mm-hmm. Just carrying over from COVID, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at one point they actually stopped allowing animals to cross the border completely for a while. So I'm glad to see they've opened it back up again. I got all excited. Well, and that's whenever I actually went with Duke up to Labrador. So, but now I have to have this other piece of paper with me.
And does it have like a date? So you like it expires? It has to be like a recent piece of paper or something?
Yeah, the paper expires within, I think, 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to cross the border, because this is some of the complaints I've read in some of the articles that I've been watching. They're complaining and they're like, they're from Canada and they're like, we go over the border all the time with our dogs. Now I'm going to need a new piece of paper every single time I go. So people aren't happy about it. We'll see what happens. I will be waiting me personally, I will be waiting a while for them to iron all this out because something's got to give. That's not, I don't even know how they're going to enforce that.
And is this just at airports or is this going to be at hard borders?
This is everywhere. This is coming into the United States by air,
Wow.
sea, or land.
So imagine taking a trip to a place like Alaska, where
Mm-hmm.
generally people go back and forth across the border maybe 5-10 times during their trip.
Yep. I personally did 8 in one trip with my dog. And I don't know, in fact, this is a discussion that I had because I'm going back to Alaska. And I'm like, well, do I need to get a new piece of paper to go back? Because I'm leaving the United States, crossing Canada, going back into Alaska, and then I'm going back across Canada to come back into the United States again. Am I going to need separate paperwork every single time? So those are the questions that I have. And like I said, I'll be waiting a while before I'm just going to let them try to work some bugs out and actually do something more realistic, because I don't know that that's going to be realistic for people.
Well, I don't have a dog in this fight, but
Uh-huh.
I would hope that they do what I've seen done ever since I've been alive. No matter what kind of restrictions or laws or whatever they come up with in general for the borders, they usually come up with some kind of special rule for Americans into Canada and Canada into America.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that happens at least.
Me too. And Mexico too. I was supposed to go to Mexico in March. My dog's supposed to be going with me. So I don't know how that's going to impact that trip.
Me and my wife like to go to Vancouver because it's so quick to get there.
Yeah.
We don't take a dog across, but I see people, they have their dogs in the cars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to affect a lot of people in Washington who cross the border like there is no border.
Yep.
I mean, there are some people who literally go back and forth across that same border 3 or 4 times in one day.
Right. Yeah, it's making the United States seem like a less pet-friendly atmosphere. So, and I'm disappointed. we'll just have to see what happens. Like you said, I hope that they come up with some little loophole for the Americans who are here that have always had the right paperwork, instead of having to deal with this, or maybe a lifetime piece of paper or a 6-month piece of paper instead of 30 days. 30 days. Yeah. I don't even understand that. I'm still wrapping my head around that.
Or like maybe if you've gotten 2 or 3 of them, then it becomes a lifetime. You don't have to do it anymore.
That would be nice. Something's got to give. It's going to affect a lot of people, because most of the people that we know travel with pets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know what the real reason is, because usually the real reason for these kind of laws have no connection to whatever you're thinking.
Follow the dollar. That's all I got to say about that.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna cover some other Overland Expo news, okay?
Okay.
You know that June 19th is Juneteenth, and that will be the first free day of the year for national parks. So
that's cool.
I just wanted to announce that to make sure that some people, their money is tight right now. So I'm going to be announcing every time there's a free day at the national parks. I won't be there.
We won't look for you.
It'll be too packed for me. I don't know if you've been keeping up, but this is the first time I've given national park news in a while. I had planned on not talking about national park news. I stopped, and that was the first thing people noticed and spoke about. So I had to bring it back. And the reason why I was not going to do Overland or national park news anymore is I'm really not too jazzed about going to national parks anymore with all of the reservation systems and different. It's not the same experience. It's not the one that I've bragged about experiencing.
So there are loopholes for people who get there early and people who arrive late.
Cat's out the bag. Yeah, that's that has been that's what I have been getting around. Even before the reservations were there, but to avoid the lines, like take Glacier, to go to Glacier and take the Going to the Sun Road before they had these reservations. If you didn't get there like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you could just hang it up. Yeah,
it's very crowded. I know.
But if I don't know now with the reservations if it's the same, but what used to happen is I get there like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, take a nap, and in about an hour the sun comes up, and you could do the whole Going to the Sun Road without any cars, maybe 1 or 2 and some bikes, and come all the way back before cars start. Never will be able to experience that again.
You know what I'm bitter about, though? So it's not so much the reservation system for me. It's the fact that they want to charge you a fee to make the reservation.
Is it still $1?
No.
No.
It's more than that. Maybe it depends on where you go, but I know to get into where we're at, it's between like $6 and $8. And I refuse, because I have a national park pass. Okay. Right. I paid my national park fee. I paid for my pass. I am not going to pay to make a reservation.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that.
It chaps my behind. I'm not doing it.
Again, that used to be something I used to periodically talk about on the podcast all the time was get your national park pass because it's such a great deal.
Yeah. They're trying to get money out of people who can barely afford to go to begin with. It's, I don't know. It seems wrong to me. Oh yeah, here's your pass. You can come in and out if you want to, unless we require a reservation. No, I'm not doing it. I refuse. Did you hear about the bear attack the
Which
other day at
one?
Tetons? At Teton National Park. This guy
Mhm.
encountered two grizzly bears on a trail on Signal Mountain.
Yep, a 35-year-old Massachusetts man.
Yep.
They don't give his name. It seems like every time me and you talk, within a 7-day period, someone got attacked by a bear.
Rawr. You hear that, folks? Watch out for bears now.
Well, the thing that sticks out to me about the story is the thing that always sticks out to me is somebody early morning in the woods by themselves. No spray, no gun, no nothing. It's the same story every time.
Yeah, it's not. I carry bear spray around even whenever I'm not in bear country. You know, I
Me
carry it
too.
around here in Nevada because we have mountain lions. Works on them too.
We got mountain ninjas too. So I'll be, you know what I'm saying? I use it like mace.
Yeah, I do too. Because I don't carry any other, not like, well, except for my bow. I do carry my bow. But if I need, quick action, it's all about the bear spray.
I haven't had to use it, but I've witnessed it more than once. It does work. And I've seen YouTube videos of it too. But I've actually seen live a person using the spray. And it works. It definitely works.
Yeah, I can attest to that one. I have discharged my bear spray before.
But it kills me, most of these bear attacks, the person, when you look into the story from the elements that they give you, whether it be what their job was, where they lived or whatever, you sense that they had enough money to stop at a shop and get some bear spray. It wasn't like, a money thing. No. So that even bothers me more.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually some upper middle class person where it would have been nothing to spend $40 or $50, $60 on this bear spray and use it for 2 or 3 years. And now you're dead, or you got an arm you can't use anymore. It's crazy.
Carry your bear spray. Carry your bear spray, kids.
And
yeah,
I've come to the conclusion from just visually seeing it. Most people do not recognize the dangers in a national park. They think they're in a like at a Walt Disney World or something.
Oh yeah. These parks are not, they're not a controlled environment. So, I mean, like, you are in the woods, you are in the wild. And what's funny is if you get attacked and it's seen as your fault, you're getting fined for the bear attacking you.
Oh, well, where I live, we got grizzlies, right?
Yeah.
So you touch a grizzly, you'll do time. Yeah. I mean, you'll do more time for killing a bear than you will a person.
Oh my gosh.
They don't, and wolves too.
Well, out in the Yellowstone, National Park with the bison are always, like button people and stuff because the people get too close. I mean, it's like, that's just natural selection at its finest. I don't even know what else to say about it. If you are a fool enough to go and try to touch this stupid bison that is wild and will trample you, then maybe you deserve what you get. I don't know. And a fine.
What amazes me is how many people actually survive those situations. It happens so routinely that every time I've ever visited like Yellowstone, every single time I've seen somebody doing stupid stuff with animals.
Yes.
And a majority of the time they get away with it. I've literally seen a person do like this, put their arm around the bison and get a picture and walk away and nothing happened. I've seen some crazy interactions with the animals.
Yeah, I just can't. I look and I think, okay, hopefully they didn't breed.
So there was a survey done by the National Park Service, was ranked one of the worst places to work. And I have a thought about it,
Okay.
and I want to hear what you think about it first.
About it being the worst place to work?
Right. Now, this survey is done by polling employees. So at all the different jobs and everything, the Park Service, as far as government jobs,
Sure.
is considered the worst job. It's ranked 226 out of 428 agencies.
So, as a person who has frequented the national parks, I would think that having to deal with fool people would be the worst part of that job, because people are dumb. People, they leave trash everywhere. They do things they're not supposed to do. Like you said, they think they're in a controlled environment, and they're not, and they're doing things that they should not be doing. Don't touch that. No, that will kill you, or hurt you really badly. Just maybe don't do that. So, I mean, I watched in Assateague. I was at Assateague, okay, on the islands there, and there was a guy tent camping across from me, and he had left his trash out, and these ponies came in and raided his camp. I mean, it was like watching a bear in Yosemite. I videoed the whole thing. I was like, this fool ass. They blow my mind. So for me, if I was a park employee, I think dealing with these fool people would make me crazy.
You would think that the person would be like, "What? Why do they call them wild horses?"
Right. Yeah. They leave common sense at the gate.
Right.
Any common sense that they had or possess, they leave it at the gate, and I'm not sure why.
So this is what I think. I have known people who work for the National Park Service for decades. Mm-hmm. I've known people who've worked for different concessionaires that employ people in the Park Service. And it used to be the big secret was complain about your job because we don't want nobody trying to get this job.
Okay. Okay, that's a way to keep it, I guess.
Because these surveys, they've always ranked low. But it used to be, the joke was they complained because they were proud to be low. They were proud to be uninteresting. They were proud to be a job nobody was looking for. I believe the survey is accurate now because there's comments to go with the numbers now where they're complaining about everything.
Oh, boy.
So I think like some of the things we've been talking about as far as the national park also are affecting them too. It used to be people took these jobs and it was like a hard work, but it was it was reciprocity in it. You got something back from it. You got time off. You met nice people. You had great outdoor interactions. Well, it's pretty much just a job now. You're working hard. You don't have as many employees to back you up. There's more visitors, and the visitors don't have the same mentality anymore. So I believe that the survey is accurate now, and I believe, but it wasn't. It was not accurate back in the day. That was a running joke amongst them.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because my dad used to say, people ruin everything. That's what my dad used to say.
You have certain jobs. I knew some people who they would like set it up where their son, when he turned 21 and got out of college, he got the job and they passed it on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So did you hear about the solo climber who got killed in Denali?
Yeah, at the same time, I guess, as the climber in Oregon too. That's craziness. That's too bad. I mean, but I guess they know the risk, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it, but since we're mentioning that national parks are not these controlled environments, I just want people to understand I'm not randomly That wasn't just some random incident where the guy got mauled by the bear. This stuff is happening like once a month, where
Right.
somebody's dropping off a mountain, getting killed by a bear, a mountain lion, or something. It's happening all the time. And it's not the animals or nature's fault. It's the
No.
stupidity of the visitors.
Yeah. Yeah. They would make me crazy. I couldn't do that job. Ugh.
Now,
Yeah.
we had an archaeologist on this show last week.
Mhm.
And ironically, what popped up in the news is in Canyonlands National Park, did you hear about the family? They got videotaped destroying an archaeological site? Canyonlands National Park. It's a
No.
husband, wife, and a kid.
I can't even. I saw the video of them doing the same, destroying Lake Mead. Something similar story, just different location. People are fools. I don't even understand. What did they do? Because I haven't heard about this.
I just read the headline. I didn't read about it.
Oh,
okay. I wanted to give some more examples to listeners to let them know we're not just complaining. Things are really getting horrible at the national parks.
Do you think that that's because there's a lot more people visiting the parks, or do you think that it's because now we have the video capability and it's coming out more? Or do you think maybe it's a combination of both, more people and the ability to bust you?
Combination of both, but heavily weighted toward more people, and not just more people. It used to, we're close to the same age. There was a time where there was a certain type of person, certain type of personality that went to the national park.
Yep.
Now there's people outside of that demographic that go to the national park. You got a bunch of assholes. That's just the bottom line, that go to the park and they take their city ways to the national park.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a terrible experience. What was it? Last summer, maybe 2 summers ago in Yosemite. And we were camped within the park. And let me tell you, it was wall to wall people. It was jam packed. Like there was no privacy. I mean, the closest house to me is not as close as these people were, in their tents and stuff, which is fine as long as you're respectful of your neighbor. And they're not. They were just rude people, they were very, very rude. And so, yeah, we don't prefer to stay in the national parks unless I can go somewhere a little bit more remote, a camping area where a lot of people don't go or don't know about. So yeah, we just stopped that. It's too crowded. There's too many people and they're just disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. I would say if I was on like a panel and we were discussing solo travel or just overland travel in general, and we were discussing security, I would say camping at a national park is probably one of the unsafe times, one of the times you need to really have your security up. That's becoming more of an issue now. It used to be you could go to a campground and you were safe because, again, there were like-minded people in the tent next to you.
Yep.
Now you got all kind of crazy people. I have seen more in the past, I'd say 3 or 4 years. What do you call it? Domestic violence issues. And that's an overlapping word, from just arguing back and forth to fisticuffs to the cops being brought in, different scenarios, but I've seen a lot of it. Yeah. Whereas that was something I had never seen for like forever. I had never seen it, but in the last 3 years, I've seen it like a bunch of times. Ugh.
Yeah, it's definitely not appealing. That's for sure. It's encouraged me. It confirms for me that I like to stay whenever I go camping and whatever. I prefer to stay out in the woods.
Mhm.
So, I mean, unless I've got some close friends with me or something like that, people I know, or, like-minded people, I don't want to be around a bunch of, I mean, you go to those places to try and experience, the nature and stuff like that. I don't want to hear your loud music. I don't want to hear you screaming and yelling and whatever. I'm there to, take it all in and enjoy myself. And it's getting more and more difficult to do that there.
And if I do hear something loud, I want to hear my music or your music.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to hear their music.
Yeah, no. But you're so close to one another. I mean, it's so close. You're just, it's like packing sardines in there, man.
And you mentioned Yosemite.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know if every campground is the same, but the one I was in, it was a campground, the box for the bears, campground, and there was nothing dividing us or anything. It was just one big. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's no nothing. But I will tell you that there's one campground that I really like, and it's actually up on the Tioga Pass up top. And it's because it's 5 miles of dirt road to get to it. So there's less people. I like that one.
So let's end this on a good note about the national parks, okay?
Okay.
This is near you, so you might be interested. I like to keep up with the solar eclipses and different astral. Right. Okay. So the 34th annual Star Party is going to be at the Grand Canyon National Park, and that will be June 8th, and it'll be on the south and north rims of the Grand Canyon National Park.
Nice.
I'll leave a link in wherever you're hearing or listening to this. I'll leave a link for people interested in that. You do have to make a reservation, but it's very easy to do. All you got to do is go to the National Park Service, go to that particular park, which is the Grand Canyon, and make your reservation. And I recommend it because they have what's called sun telescopes. So you can look at the sun and do various things in the daytime. So it's not just a purely nighttime thing. And then at night, they're going to have, special telescopes. And the Grand Canyon is probably one of the best places in the world to see the stars at night.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended on a good note, didn't we?
Yay.
All right. Now, you know what I want to talk about. Since I wasn't there, first one I haven't been to in over a decade. But so what? You went to Overland Expo West. How was it?
I actually had a blast. It was a lot of fun. You were very missed. Everybody was asking about you, but yeah, we had a really good time. It was just, you know how it is. You get to see people you haven't seen in a long time, reconnect with folks, and then you end up, sharing a little campfire, maybe a meal after after a long day of hanging out at the show. And, it's just a great time to catch up with folks, Okay,
I'm going to ask you a direct question.
Okay.
You've been to a bunch of Overland Expos. You've been to like every single one. You've been to West, you've been to East, you've been to Mountain West, you've been to all of them.
Yep.
You know everybody, you know all the vehicles, you know the layout, you know the training, you've done some of the training.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so eager and anxious to go back every year? Like, for instance, just for the listeners, you contacted me, you were texting me, updating me. You were thinking about it before it happened. What keeps you so excited about Overland Expo?
So I'm an instructor. Typically I go and I actually teach people, answer questions, things like that. I was moderating roundtables this time. I really enjoy Overland Expo for the people. I like helping people. I've actually had, whenever I'm in the DIY area with my showcase vehicle, I have had women come up to me in the past and say, I'm intimidated a little bit by this. You mind if I ask you some questions because you're a woman? I mean, literally, that's what's been said to me. And I like the opportunity to help somebody who otherwise may not have asked questions because they were intimidated, by some of the industry people or some of the sales people or, the men. So I'm one of the few females who are into this. And, it always feels really good. Whenever we went to East, the last one where we were all at East together, there was another gal who approached me and she was asking me all kinds of questions and stuff at the beginning of the show. Then I saw her at the end of the show. We were waiting in line for coffee. And she says, oh, hey, by the way, I ended up getting a rooftop tent. So she made a choice. She made a selection. She made a very large purchase that she would have, without assistance. Mm-hmm. So I like to help people. I like having the opportunity to do that. It makes me feel good that to feel like you're helping them take their first steps in their own adventures. And I enjoy that very much.
I wish when I was purchasing my first rooftop tent, I could have just leaned over and talked to somebody who had been traveling around the world in a rooftop tent for years. Mm-hmm. It was all me, my decision, my research. Mm-hmm. So that's great. Yeah. Did you do any classes or any roundtables or anything like that at Expo this year?
I did. I moderated 3 and participated in 2 others, so a total of 5. And I did I was very busy. And I also was sous chef for TEMBO TUSK for a cooking demo.
Ooh.
I know, that was fun. Look,
stop the show. I like the shirt. Okay. Jerry.
TEMBO TUSK has new gear.
Okay, Jerry, I want some new gear.
And they've got new patches and new stickers. Cool stuff. Yeah. Cool new stuff.
All right, stop the show. What did you cook?
So it was Michael. He was cooking, of course. And, he has his famous dirty rice dish that he likes to do. So I was sous chef for him for that. So we did the meat lovers dirty rice.
He always meat lovers it. It's different meats, but it's always a bunch of meat. So what meat?
There was bacon, some really cool sausages, actually, which I'd never had before, which turned out to be really, really great in the dish because it was it had jalapenos in it and cheddar cheese.
Oh,
so yeah. It was good. It turned out really, really well. And then there was chicken. And, we scrambled up a little egg in there and added that at the end, so it was, kind of like a, fried rice stir fry thing. So, but it was excellent. Everybody ate it. It was so good.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers for the event. It says 29,500 attendees. Did it feel like it was that many people there?
Yes, it was very busy. It was very, very, very busy. So there's a lot more vendor space too, because they took out some of the experiences, which was disappointing. So there was no, so let me back up a little bit. So recently I purchased a motorcycle and I got my motorcycle license. So I took a class and everything and got all that done this winter. That was one of the things I did over the winter. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But my first experience was at Overland Expo East riding a motorcycle. That's where I got to try it for the very first time. And ever since I did that, it's been on my mind to continue that education and maybe get a bike and do all that. So that's, so for me, whenever I saw that was no longer available, I was kind of bummed. I'm like, oh man, that's where I, first got interested in riding a motorcycle was whenever I actually got to try it there because I'd never done it before. I'd always ridden on the back. I never actually got to sit and, do the controls and things like that. So people are missing out on that opportunity, which is a bummer. But, and there's some other drive and ride, your personal vehicles type of thing that were not available at West either. The Grenadier vehicle, they had the place where you could actually get in the vehicle and, ride along, so you could, test, see what it was like to ride in one. You know how they did with the Bronco when they first came out, things like that. It was the Grenadier this time. So they had that, but that was it. All the other experiences are gone.
Oh, sad to hear that. Sad to hear that.
Yeah.
I never had to learn how to operate a vehicle of any sort, so that wasn't important to me. But I have seen so many people like learn how to engage their four-wheel drive correctly and properly, and on and on and on. So many basic things that you learn there. So I'm really sad to hear that's gone.
Yeah.
That needs to come back for sure. Because
Well,
that's a place to inspire. You just gave us a story of it.
yeah. 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 And it did. It was very inspiring. And finally, like, what is it? Like 3 years later, I ended up with a bike and, and my license. I am a motorcycle rider now. I'm a moto girl now, whatever. but that's where I got my start. And, so many other people are missing out on that, which is a bummer. So, because there was no space for me to actually ever go and try a bike before. You're not going to walk up to some random person or, a friend of yours or something who's got a bike and, hey, can I try your bike? I've never done it before. That's like, hey, can I learn how to drive stick shift on your car? You don't, there's no way. There's no way. So this was a place that was not intimidating. And I got to learn something new and I really enjoyed it. And I moved on and continued it. So yeah, sad for people who are missing out on that part. I believe that Bend will have some of those experiences coming back, but just at that particular location.
So we were fortunate enough to have some of the people who tested the INEOS Grenadier in Africa on the show, and they gave it a thumbs up. I'd like to get your opinion. From my understanding, they had Grenadiers all over the place.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, and I first saw the Grenadier whenever they had their the pre-sales going on. They were at Overland Expo East, if you remember, whenever we were all there. And man, I was looking for a platform to build on at the time too. And I was very interested. I mean, this thing just looks cool from end to end, in my opinion. It is the love child of a Defender and a Troopy. That's how it looks to me. I love the barn doors in the back and all of that stuff. It's just so cool. But they weren't sure when they were going to be available. That's why because I was like, man, I want something sooner than what they were projecting. So that's the only reason why I didn't end up with one, because I think that they are just super cool. And that the ones that I saw, so Goose Gear has a whole new lineup for, a whole new plate system available just for this vehicle now. And it just looks so cool. You can do so much customizing to this thing. It's just really, really nice. I would love to get my hands on one for sure.
Well, I think it's a beautiful truck.
Yeah.
It is doing the opposite of a lot of the other companies where, like, for instance, Toyota, which I love, they've gone more into modernizing the look, making it look less truck-like, whereas the Grenadier is going straight for the truck look. So that got me immediately when I first saw it, when we saw it before, what did you say, at East, I think it was?
It was at East. It's just it's very classic adventure vehicle look, which I just love. I'm all about it.
And it looks like it was designed for us.
Yes.
When you open that back door, it screams modify, set up your own way.
Yep, it does. Yeah.
And it has all the bells and whistles that you would want to feel comfortable off-road. There's pretty much not too much you would probably do. You probably upgrade your tires.
Maybe. Depends on what they came with. I also saw for the very first time a pickup version of it. That looks really cool too.
Tell me about that. I saw some pictures on Instagram of it.
So it basically, you get the four doors and then they they basically just cut the top off. I mean, that's pretty much it. But really, what was really cool with the vintage part of it, because I'm a classic car girl, I'm all about vintage classic vehicles. One of the things that they did that I really thought was cool, they took the spare tire and they stood it up and mounted it to the inside of the truck bed, just like the old Jeeps used to, just like the really old Jeeps did.
Mhm,
and that's where your spare tire is. I mean, it just looks cool to me. I just think it's great. I don't know how practical it'll be for, to try and slide in a camper shell or something like that into it, because then you'll have to remove that spare tire. But outside of that, though, it looks, it looks very cool. For me, that's a cool factor. I dig it.
It definitely high cool factor. But if a person was buying a Grenadier and they were going to do a few upgrades, but they were trying to do minimal upgrades, having that tire already up and from under the vehicle and out of the way puts you in a good position.
Yep.
A fridge and a rooftop tent, and you can go.
You are on your way.
Because there are a lot of modern vehicles that I would recommend for overlanding. And when I say overlanding, I don't mean just overlanding, but an overlander who's going to do a lot of off-roading, a lot of trails and stuff like that. I forgot what I was going to say. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
So I would be interested to see this thing out on trail, because let me tell you, it is not a small vehicle. So for like Jeep trails and stuff like that, this is a wide load. So something maybe somebody would consider if they are going to be doing a lot of off-road trails and a lot of narrow trails. Maybe this is not the vehicle for you if you want to do, more narrow trails. I mean, I've done shelf roads and stuff in Colorado that I don't know that I would necessarily take this thing on, because, it is so narrow, or because the truck is so wide and the road is so narrow. So, because it is without a doubt a full size vehicle. It is big, which it could be a blessing and a curse.
I agree. So tell me exactly what I can't think of the word. What were the round tables that you did?
So I moderated 3 and participated in 2. The Art of Solo Travel, which I frequently moderate. Michael was on that one too. I was his moderator for that, which was funny.
Did you guys get anything done?
Oh gosh, we had a good panel and we had quite a few people. But yeah, it was, it was good. So we did the Art of Solo Travel. We did the American West was another one. Traveling with Pets was another. I was on the panel for built versus buying it versus having it built. That was a whole nother panel, which was pretty cool, because I've done all of those things. We've built it, bought it, had it built. We've done all of that. So that was a really cool panel to be on. I've always actually wanted to be on that panel because I have a lot to say about that kind of stuff, especially being the only female in the group. Because my criteria, whenever I was looking for vehicles and platforms to build on and ways to travel, my criteria were very different than most anybody else's on the board, and things that they didn't really think about, So that was really neat. Then there was another discussion about, it was entitled, Let's Talk About the Knock. That means if you're camping somewhere and you're not really supposed to be there, or there's no sign stating that you're not allowed to be there, and the police or somebody comes in the middle of the night and knocks on your door and says, hey, you're not supposed to be here and you have to leave. There was a whole panel about that too, about that discussion. So those were the things that I was on. And I think the 2 biggest were the Traveling with Pets and the West. So the United States West. Those were the 2 biggest.
Well, from my understanding, there were over 300 classes this year. I find that mind-boggling.
And that's a reduction in classes too. That's not, because they took away a whole classroom from us. So I think that's great that there were so many. It didn't feel like that many, but on the hour, there's stuff going, all weekend long.
I know I've asked you this before, and I'll ask you this again many more times. because I want as many people to hear as possible. We talk about the training classes and how many people attended and how many hours of training and all of that. Well, there's rallies and events everywhere, all throughout the United States. I don't have to travel all the way to Overland Expo to take a class. There's classes all over the place.
Okay.
Why do I need to go? And I want you to be frank with me. Don't give me no politically correct answer. Why would I choose to go to Overland Expo for training over others?
The people who are allowed to teach at Overland Expo have been vetted. They have been vetted. They are just really great people. I don't know that I've met anyone.
So back up.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Get into vetting. You don't have to, give the details of, but explain vetting. Some people may not even understand what the word vetting means. Explain.
So whenever you apply to be an instructor with the Expo, one of the things that you are asked to provide is social media information. Because they want to be able to go onto your social media page and see what you're posting, what you're doing, things like that, because they are very particular about the kind of person that they want to bring on board. They want to bring in people who are out there doing it. They don't they don't want just anybody coming in and claiming they know something whenever they really don't. It's one of the show me, don't tell me things. Show me what you're doing. And they go and they will research you. And, as they are always, they are on my YouTube, they're on my Instagram. They want to see that that I actually know what I'm talking about. So, and that's what they've done with every single instructor that actually comes on board it's show me, don't tell me. And so these people, they know what they're doing. They've been checked out. And I haven't, in the years that I've been doing this, I think this is my 4th year that I've been doing this. Everybody's just so great. Everybody's so nice, and they genuinely are there to help you. Because it's not like we get, we don't, most of us like in roundtables and stuff, guess what? You don't get paid. You're there because you want to be there and you have a genuine interest in helping people. That's why you're there. And if you're not there for those reasons, then keep on moving, because, we want people who are there for the right reasons.
And from my observations, that vetting continues as long as you are working with them and training, because you'll do a post and nobody liked it but them. They keep up with your social media continually. They know what's going on. They know what you post. Whenever I go to an event, I'll see some of the staff members and hey, Phil, how was Alaska? Hey, Phil, how was... They know where I've been. They know exactly where I just came from, where I'm going, everything. So they keep up. They know, because there's some people, they go on a big trip and they live off the laurels of that. And then they go to all of these little events and they're the expert. The people who are training at Overland Expo are people who haven't just done something. They're doing it. This is their lifestyle. This is something ingrained in what they do day to day, what they think about, what they plan. It's an integral part of their life.
Yep.
So I like to really hammer home that going to Overland Expo, taking their training classes, is not the same as going to John's rally, and the guy with the military garb on, and he's going to train you on how to do winching and all of these other things. And he just got a truck 2 years ago.
I've never been to any of those training classes. Actually, that's kind of a new thing because I've got over 30 years experience off-road. I've been off-roading since, my first vehicle that I ever bought was a Jeep, and I used it. I still had paper tags on the thing, and I took it out to Red Rock on Rocky Gap. That was my very first solo trail by myself with my first Jeep. And, that's not an easy trail.
Well, you're like me. We were doing this stuff. And then when Overland became popular, we were like, oh, wow. I was the square corny guy before. Now, all of a sudden, I'm the cool dude.
There's a place for me now.
It's right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a place for me now. And being a girl in this whole industry is very difficult. Okay. Very difficult because, women, sometimes we can be our worst enemies. Okay. They're way back then, whenever I first started, okay, I was the only girl that I knew who actually wanted to get out there and do this stuff. Okay. And I was alone because, unless I had a couple of guy friends that had trucks too, and they would go out occasionally with me, unless they had a girlfriend. And then the girlfriend was jealous and didn't want them wheeling with me and all this other stuff. So I was like, it's just childish. And sometimes, it's just like, oh yeah. So I wheeled alone a lot, not necessarily by choice. It's just the way that it was. And that's how I learned. So I've got a lot of experience now and I still love it. And it's, who I am. But yeah, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy because, but this going to an event like this gives me an opportunity to meet more women who do this, which is fantastic. I've met the coolest ladies. And, finally I
just want to add to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ladies that are new, but you have the opportunity to talk to other ladies who are really, really out here doing it on different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's fantastic. And, I never really, like I said, I never really knew other women who did what I did for a really long time because the opportunity for connection was not necessarily available, or if the girls were there, they were a passenger all the time. It's the opposite. Like my husband's a passenger. When it comes to once we hit dirt, he gets out of the driver's seat. It's all me because that's my wheelhouse.
So I'm going to give away social media overlanders' dirty little secret.
Uh-oh.
Most of these macho dudes that you see on social media and you love their trucks and you love their adventures, if they are a couple, the wife is generally doing 90% of the driving. That's what I've seen.
Okay.
It's usually the wife is doing because he's doing the filming.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Yeah, no, I'm usually alone most of the time. So I'm doing the driving and the filming. Tripods are my friends.
People have forever, for years, asked me, why don't you film this? Or why don't you start posting that? And I'm like, do you know how hard it is for me to just do the travel part? And you guys want me to, in order to film it, you really literally have to travel twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to go back for that camera. Every time. I get my exercise in, that's for sure. I go trucking back for the camera.
So at Overland Expo, were there any international visitors that you knew of or you saw or you experienced or you interacted with?
Oh, man.
Because I know on the official site, they say that they had people from Mexico, Canada, Great Britain, South Korea, China, the Philippines, and Australia.
So what is their name? I'm trying to remember what their handle is. They were there with their son because they've been in South America for a long time. Or it's not stringless.
Something theory.
Stringless theory.
Yes, stringless theory.
Yeah, they were there. And they were there in their original rig. So they left the other one, down there, and then they flew up here and picked up their rig.
Oh no, that's not stringless theory. I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of their name right now.
Hourless.
Yeah, it's like hourless something.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm really bad with names. I'm sorry. But no, they were there. I do know that they were there. And who else was there? Oh, yeah. what are their names? They're from South Africa, and they actually had their original landy, which was pretty cool to see. I did like that.
Hourless Life.
Hourless Life. That's right. Yep. Yeah. No. And then who else? The what's the name? A2A is their handle. But yeah, they're the couple from South Africa. They had the kids, and then now the kids aren't with them anymore. They're empty nesters living in this truck now. Goodness, it's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why I can't think of their name. But anyway, they were there, and they're super nice too. I was moderator on one of the panels for them. Yeah, but I guess maybe for me, I think those are the only two people, because I'm so busy teaching, and like I said, the only way that I interact with them was because I was moderator for their panel that they were on. That's why I ran into them. So
if I was going to be attending one of these panels that you do, let's say it's the one for solo travel.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? Just like a group of people at a table and we're sitting in the audience and we just listen to you guys talk, or what?
That's the last thing. That's the last thing we want. We don't want you to just sit there and listen to us talk. We want audience participation. We're interested in your questions. We're interested in what you want to learn about, what you want to know, and providing you with the information that you're looking for. Actually, roundtables are probably my favorite thing to do, because whenever I first attended Overland Expo, my first one was in 2018, and it was the week before I was supposed to leave for Alaska, and I was going to be on the road for a long time. And I felt like it would be a really great place to get some last minute information, maybe pick up some gear that I was missing, things like that. And I will tell you, so I attended the Canada and Alaska roundtable. I got more information there than in all of my research that I was trying to do. Because even back then, I mean, we still had the internet and things like that, but the technology and the information was very, very limited. So whenever I got to Overland Expo and I attended this roundtable, I took a notebook. Definitely bring something to write with if you're looking for information. And I got more information there from the people who had actually been there and done it than I could in all the research that I had done for the last 6 months on the internet. It just wasn't available then. But yeah, that was a great resource. So ever since then, I'm like, cool, love to love to give back. I want to be on these roundtables too and help people the way that it helped me.
I agree with all of that. And I'll just add that I enjoy going to listen to round tables, even if it's a subject matter that I think I know already, because the guys at the table will be talking about actual situations. And in order to make their point, they may have talked about something else, and I'll get a little tip on something had nothing to do with the subject matter of the round table. You'll get just little tidbits. Already have your winch set up before you hit the trail, so that all you have to do is yank it out, or it'll be little small things.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have there's a number of people on that panel, so you have a number of different perspectives on one single subject.
Right.
Which I really, really enjoy.
And not only have different perspectives, but one person may have just come back from Africa, one person just come back from Labrador, and so on and so forth. Their living conditions, the laws, the regulations, the weather, everything is different. So, I mean, completely different thoughts, ideas, and perspectives on the same thing.
Yeah.
With that said, though, on the basics, usually, no matter who you talk to, they end up saying the same exact things, which I like. Well, are you going to any other Overland Expos this year?
We're discussing it. We are discussing Pacific Northwest and the possibility of my husband coming with me for the first time ever.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely be at Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that would be great to finally see you. Yeah, you get to meet the myth, the man, the legend.
Yeah.
He comes with me. Well, because at the time we're going to be on our month-long road trip. We're actually, my husband and I, we've been together 30 years, and so this is our, we're celebrating 30 years together on this trip. Yay! Thank you. And this will be the longest road trip we've ever taken. I mean, we've had RVs and things since 1999. And so we've been all over the place and we've flown places and stuff, but not for a month straight. So this will be the longest one we've ever taken before. So it should be interesting. But we're going in the new rig. The last time we took a trip, he was on vacation from work and it was 10 days and it was in the Jeep in the Ursa Minor. And that was great. That was fine. But this is new to him. Traveling this way for long periods of time is a very new thing for him. He's never experienced it. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all unfolds. And we'll be doing a lot of, posting and things like that about it. So because this is one of those rare times where I think the female is more interested in it than the guy is. Because my husband is hotel guy. He likes swanky hotels. Okay. We've stayed at some swanky places, but that's his vibe. So we'll see.
My experience is almost identical to yours, just changed the gender. So I relate to everything you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that 2 years from now, that 1 month, you guys will be laughing about 1 month like that was so long and everything.
Yeah.
He's retired now, and that adjustment is going to continue, and you guys are going to go on those trips, and the mentality is going to change because he doesn't have to do nothing and go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still in a transition.
Yeah.
Because it's a different thing traveling and you still have a job.
Yes.
And not having a job. It's a whole different thing. I had to literally stop hanging out with friends because of that. You travel different. Like, let's say I said, hey, John, let's go 2 weeks to Utah. He's trying to do every single thing that he's ever wanted to do in Utah in those 2 weeks. And my mentality is, I'll do a handful of things if I get around to it. And if not, next time I'm here, I'll do it. And if it's something I really want to do, I'll just stay another day or two or a week. So it's just totally different mentalities about itineraries and keeping to them and everything.
And ironically, we've had that discussion, my husband and I, because I've had to force him to slow down.
Slow down traveling?
Yes.
What are you doing? What do you mean slow down traveling?
During the traveling, we need to slow down during the traveling.
Yeah.
To sit and enjoy, something. And he needs to travel in the moment, I guess, as it were.
You can encourage him, but it's just going to have to happen.
I know.
when you've been in that regime of getting up, going to work every day, feeling like even though you've done everything you're supposed to do, you still have to look like you're doing something. You always have to be productive, proactive. It's hard to walk away from that mentality. I know, trust me. Yeah. And you feel like sometimes you feel like if you don't have an agenda, if you don't have a plan, like you're worthless.
Yeah, I get that. And we've been, ever since he retired, we've been busy here just at the house trying to get everything ready so that we can leave and know that everything is done so that he can maybe relax. Mm-hmm. So we'll just see how it all shakes out.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I don't know if his friends are retired yet. Friends who he would like to do something with. Like every friend of mine who I would genuinely enjoy spending some time in the great outdoors, traveling and things like that with, they're still working. And I'll invite them to things because they say, Phil, you do all of these things, invite me to some of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, I usually do things between Tuesday and Thursday.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to even learn not to even bring those things up to them, because I discovered that some people got the impression like I was rubbing it in their face or something, when I wasn't thinking about it. It was just, I picked the best days for me.
Yep.
So,
well, because there's less people. There's less people out there during those days. Those are the days I prefer to travel.
Yeah, even if I'm like on a long trip, like a month, 2 months, 3 months or whatever, I still keep that mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that I sometimes, whenever I'm traveling, depending upon the region that I'm in, I know I'll be thinking ahead of time. I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow is Friday. I need to find a camp spot to hunker down for the weekend before, it's because I try not to travel Saturdays or anything like that, because Fridays and Saturdays, usually that's whenever everybody's there and everybody's bugging out by Sunday. So, I'll usually try to find a spot to hunker down for more than one night so that I have a spot, depending upon where I'm at. If where I'm at is more busy, that's exactly what I'll do. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I just won't find a spot.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's the most planning ahead I do, though. Otherwise, it's flying by the seat of my pants. Don't know where I'm going to be until I get there. That's how I prefer to travel.
And this relates also to my disdain toward the National Park Service now. It's because I had found a way to overcome the crowds at national parks because of my freedom. Yeah. I would go Tuesday to Thursday and be able to drive the whole going to the Sun Road, or drive a whole circle through Yellowstone or whatever.
Yeah.
But now them places be packed 24/7.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
The last time I was in the Grand Tetons, there were people speeding through the national park in the middle of the night.
That's crazy.
It's crazy for 2 reasons. You're speeding, and the second one is them bison don't stop at the stop sign.
That's my biggest concern, is the wildlife. I don't want to hit a moose. And
there's signs everywhere saying, slow down, because you might hit something.
So what's really interesting too about our trip that's coming up is that my husband, he's traveled the world. Okay. My husband is from New Zealand originally. They lived in New Zealand, Australia. Yeah. They lived in New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, and he's traveled the world. His parents were travelers, and they're originally from Ireland. So my in-laws have, the really cool accents and stuff. So, cause that's, their homeland, but, he's never seen the United States. So our first trip,
okay,
he's never traveled the United States. Like, hasn't done it. He's lived here and, worked here and everything. And he's never been anywhere. So he wants to go to see some of the national parks. Okay. So we're going to see Mount Rushmore. We're going to see Yellowstone. We're going to see the Tetons. He's never done it. Always talked about it. And he's seen my pictures and stuff. He's like, I want to go there now. And I'm like, yeah, well, let me know when you're ready. So now he's finally ready, and now we're going to do it, and it's going to be fun. So it'll be interesting to see his reaction to all of it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it, you have to do it. But if you've done it, I'll just say I don't have the incentive anymore. It's like going to Walt Disney World, as far as the lines and the prices. It's expensive to go to a national park.
Yes.
When you actually could add up all the dollars, you could have went to the Strip and seen a show.
Or just gambled. At least then you got a shot at getting it back. Yeah. One thing that's the most expensive thing, I think, in the park, there's 2 things actually, gas and food. Those are the 2 most expensive things you can get in the national parks. And you need both of those things. So, and primarily because it's so remote, these places, most of them are super remote. There's no, like, in the park, if it has gas, it is the last bastion for gas. Okay. Otherwise, forget about it.
So it's been about 2 years since I've been to Death Valley, and gas was $10 and something cents.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to think about what the price may be now.
No.
That was like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're one of the highest ones.
Yes. Yosemite too. Yosemite's extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
Death Valley is very, very high. Yeah, so I try to, if I'm able to, I try to get gas before I even go into the park. So that's just part of my plan. And sometimes
well,
it works
I know
out,
Death Valley so well. The gas station that you go to in Death Valley,
yeah, it's stovepipe.
you could keep driving 15 more minutes and go to Rhyolite and get gas outside.
Yeah.
Out and come right back into the park. There's no gate or nothing.
Mm-mm.
That's what I do. I've only paid $10 or more for gas one time in America. And that was when I was in in the Arctic.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I believe that.
there's only one gas station, so it ain't like you're gonna shop them.
No. Are you talking about Dead Horse?
Dead Horse, but
Yeah.
I can't think. When you get all the way to the end, to the Arctic.
Yeah. That's it. That's Dead Horse out there. Yeah. And what's funny is you're right next to the oil
Gold
station.
Camp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Prices were crazy. Yeah.
But prices have gotten crazy for gas everywhere now. Me and Mike have talked about this a bunch. Like when I was planning the trip to go to South America, I never really worried about the gas because I kept checking the gas prices and I was like, oh, that's nothing. This is nothing.
Yeah.
It ain't like that no more. You have to consider gas prices, especially for a trip like what I'm talking about taking.
Yeah.
Those thousands and thousands of miles.
Yeah. When I was in Labrador, I paid over more than $10 a gallon for gas when I was in Labrador City.
Wow. Their gas is that expensive?
Yeah. Yeah. It was insane. It was over $10 per gallon. It was insane. I've never paid. That's the most I ever paid for gas was whenever I was in Labrador. So
well, going across Canada, I found some expensive prices, not that expensive, but I was using my card and, you know, they do the conversion like 12 or 24 hours later. And so I was saving a little money my last trip through Canada once they do the conversion.
Mm. Yeah, no, there
like
was
when
no
you stick it in,
there.
It'll say $10, but then you look at your account and they make the conversion to the right amount of money.
No,
or at least
that's
it was my bank.
That's with the conversion. It was over $10 a gallon. That was with the conversion. Yeah. Well,
so what is that's about $13, $14 American?
It was well, no, that was American. That was with the conversion. So that's over $10 converted into American dollars per gallon, not per liter. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I was glad that I had a small gas tank and there was a line. There was a line. I was like, okay. I mean, whenever you're there, I mean, do you want to go? Do you want to continue on or don't you? You know, that's your question that you ask. So,
Andy, you know how old I am? I'm so old that if I didn't have plans for the weekend or something like that, or I had a day off, I could just take $20, fill up my tank, buy a 40 ounce, and go to the beach and drive around the city for the whole weekend.
yeah, well,
$20 won't do nothing to my gas tank now.
No, it's sad.
You can't feel a riding mower for $20 anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I hope to see you at PNW.
You will absolutely see me. And I don't want to get into my physical situation on here,
Mhm.
but no matter what, I will come. It's just how I come.
Yes, I understand completely.
But I will. That's the home team.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all. I hope to see you there, and I'm looking forward to a good time.
All right. And thank you for giving us a report on Overland Expo. As
You're welcome.
I know you'll be on this show many more times, so I ain't gonna welcome you. You already welcome. And
Thank
with
you.
that, I'm gonna talk to the audience. You know what I'm gonna say. Stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully we'll see you here or on the trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.